Hey guys, welcome back. Well, hopefully it's a welcome back, but this is a series of videos that I'm doing where I choose what you're going to eat for dinner. No, on a Wednesday, I think Wednesdays is like my black hole day when it comes to ideas for what I'm going to cook for dinner. It's midweek and I'm like, can someone else just make the decision? Well, here I am. I am here to solve your decision fatigue. We're going to make Mongolian beef noodles. The cool thing about this recipe is that I've got a few little tricks up my sleeve for getting like the most tender, super lovely, juicy beef in a stir fry, because I think often beef in a stir fry is bad. This is not bad. This is great. If you guys are watching, please do let me know where you're watching from. What are you doing? Is it evening? Is it morning? Are you drinking coffee? What are you doing? Let me know, because I'm here actually chatting to you in the comments. And if you have any questions, please ask. Now, the thing you can do is watch this video, get the ingredients from my website, and then actually cook this for dinner tonight. You can replay the video, cook along with me. That would be really fun. But let's get down to actually cooking stuff, because that's why we're here. Let's talk about the beef first of all. Now, I have a real bugbear with, you know, like that stir fry where the beef is like really grey and insipid and tough and like all those things. It's just no, that's a no from me. So I have some tips here to help you out with getting the most tender beef. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of steak that you use. You know, I've got a sirloin here. You can have a strip loin, strip steak, ribeye, rib fillet. You could use a flank steak, a rump steak. It's all going to work just fine. The main point is, though, let's do some slicing. Now, if you have a look here, what you want to do is slice across the grain. So basically you're cutting the grain, the muscle of beef, so that when you're chewing the beef, you have a shorter muscle to chomp through. If you have a long fibrous muscle, you've got a tougher muscle. So that's kind of the intricacies of why you cut across the grain. Now, see how I'm also cutting on like a diagonal and sort of like a diagonal across the beef. What I'm doing is trying to actually lengthen out and thin out my beef slices. Now, this is really cool because it will do two things. One, help with that tenderness, but also it'll make your beef stretch out a little bit further because you're getting a lot more pieces from your piece of steak. Now, if you have a look here, we've got a very thin piece, sort of like, you know, see through the back of the beef piece, you know, and the thinner you can get it, the better, because that's gonna be a nice tender piece. You know, sort of all the vegetables and the noodles and one fairly big, thick piece of steak. That's probably like a 300-gram steak. We're gonna be able to do like 4 portions of that. So I'm gonna leave that at 1 piece. So that's the first part where we're slicing the beef. Now we're gonna do the marinade, which is also gonna help with this tenderness business. So pop my beef in here. Now, flavoring first, so soy sauce, obviously giving us some saltiness, and some Chinese Shaoxing wine. So this one's like an optional. A lot of people like to keep their alcohol cooking free. Yeah, I know. I like to do alcohol and cooking, but anyway, that's not what I meant. Some people like to keep their cooking alcohol free, in which case just leave the Shaoxing wine out. You could add a little bit of juice if you wanted to, like apple juice or orange juice, just to give you a bit of that kind of like floral flavor or aroma. So add a little dash of that too. Okay, and here are the secret ingredients. So, for those of you who are long-time watchers of my channel, this might not be so secret, but let me explain. The baking soda, also known as bicarb soda, will help the meat to like brown a lot quicker. And by browning the meat quicker, it means it's spending less time in the pan getting all chewy and, you know, overcooked. Corn flour is the other one. So I'm adding some corn flour here because the corn flour, when it mixes with liquid, it kind of, and then you fry it, it gives you like this kind of velvety, silky texture, so that when you're eating your beef strips, it's kind of tricking you into thinking that beef is really kind of silky and soft and tender. So yeah, there's always method to the madness. So give that a bit of a mix. Now don't forget guys, I am answering your questions here in the comments, so please do message even if it's just to say hi, because I like to say hi to you all. That's looking pretty good. Now this is not one of those like marinate for days kind of things that will make things way too salty and weird. It's just a few minutes while you prep the rest of your dinner. All right, meat's doing its thing. I want you guys, if you're cooking along with me at home, to get a pot of boiling water going, because no one wants to stand around and wait for the water. You know what I mean? Get it going and then we can do these other bits and pieces. We need some vegetables for our stir fry. So I'm gonna go with some garlic, some onion, and I'm gonna do a little bit of zucchini and carrot a bit later on, and some ginger and some spring onion.
What's your opinion of garlic paste?
Now, I have a theory that if you use garlic paste, you are also a sociopath or a psychopath. One of those things. No, garlic paste is not, it's not a thing. That stuff is bad. Okay, no, I just think it has, one, it has a very weird smell to me, and two, because it's in the jar and it's all like liquidy, when you try and stir fry it, you kind of just get this, you don't get this stir fried garlic business happening, you just kind of get something weird happening. So you know what you could do, Holly, actually, if you wanted to like make things easier for yourself instead of like the garlic paste, is you could chop up your own garlic, right, and put it into ice cube trays and freeze it. That way it would be ready to go. That would be my solution.
That sounds much nicer.
Okay, so I have a thing also about slicing onions for a stir fry, but I like to do it into wedges. So we turn the onion over and you just cut wedges, like an orange wedge or whatever. I like this because it allows the onion to have a bit more surface area so that you're getting some really good char on the onion without the onion going really soggy, if you know what I mean. So if you've got thin slices and you've got a high heat, the onion can like just become little straggly bits. Whereas with your wedge of onion, you're getting sort of charred chunks of onion, if you like. So small thing, but I do think when you're making a stir fry, these small things all add up to either a soggy, bad stir fry or a really great one. So we're making a really great one. All right, I have my ginger and I'm just gonna peel off some of the skin. Ginger, interestingly, has some really great anti-inflammatory properties, which is why I love to have a gingery congee on a Sunday morning if I've had a big Saturday night. There you go. Secrets from Marion's kitchen. Okay, so I've done my ginger. I've sliced it because I like it like that. My spring onion is going to get sliced into battens. And these things are all ready to go. So now we can get stir frying. So I'm just gonna heat my wok up. Now, by the way, you don't have to have like an amazing wok, to cook a really great stir fry. I have a seasoned carbon steel wok, which is a very traditional kind of wok to stir fry in. But the main point is that you want a large surface area and high heat. So if you've got a really large frying pan, that's great. The point is you don't want the ingredients to crowd together too much. So any large frying pan you've got is fine, and then just heat it up until it's like a little bit scary. All right, so I don't know if you can quite see, but there's like a little bit of smoke now coming off my pan, just a little bit. And this is the point, I was talking about it being a little bit scary. I don't want to set the fire alarms off or anything, but the point about getting the pan really hot is so that as we're adding ingredients, the pan can really quickly come back up to temperature. Because if you start with a pan that's not really hot, it won't quite get there as we're adding cold ingredients in, if you know what I mean. Anyway, the point is hot pan, oil. So I'm gonna go in with my onion first because the onion is chunky. That's the sound, like hardcore sizzle is what you want. And like immediately I'm getting color on this onion. I mean, that's how hot the pan is, right? So that's really good. Toss that around a little bit. Now I'm gonna go in with my beef. So I'm just gonna sort of move the onion off to the side as much as I can. Beef goes in. And you wanna spread that beef out as much as you can so you've got the maximum amount of beef pieces coming into contact with that hot pan, and then just let it sit. So, like that thing in the movies or wherever where, the chef is like doing this and there's lots of fire and things are happening really quickly and everyone's always like, stir fries happens really quickly. At home, it doesn't happen so quickly because you just don't have the heat that like a Chinese restaurant has, right? So I find the way to do it is to do it a little slower. Add your ingredients, wait for things to get hot and charry, stir fry, add the next ingredient, do the same thing. If you chuck everything at once, you're just gonna get like a whole big sweaty mess happening in there. No one wants like sweaty dinner. Okay, so this is looking good. Just gonna toss it all around, spread it out, and then just leave it. Okay, so you might have noticed that I haven't put my garlic or ginger in there yet, and that's because I didn't want them to burn. I wanted the chariness on the beef and the onions, but not on my sort of lighter, more delicate aromatics. So I'm gonna go in with the ginger and garlic now. Now I'm also gonna go in with my vegetables. So just to make things quicker, I'm just gonna grate them straight in. Carrot, and this is just typically what I would do on a weeknight to just try and like up the vegetable count a little bit, without spending time like chopping things. Also, I find like the grated veg kind of disintegrates a little bit into the dish, so that if you've got picky vegetable eaters at home, you're kind of tricking them a little bit. Let's toss all of that around. So at this point, I'm just gonna leave this. I've turned the heat off, and now I'm gonna concentrate on my noodles. All right, noodles. So I'm going with some udon noodles today. So a little bit of a blend of cuisines here, because I've got my Chinese flavors here. This is more of a Japanese noodle, but I like its really like lovely chewy texture. I think it goes really well with this kind of saucy beef situation. So these just are like those sort of pre-packaged shelf-stable udon noodles, and they just need a little bit of time in the hot water. See how that's like a cake? Like it's quite firm. If you went to stir fry that, it would just be like a big mess. So we want to loosen them up a little. Now what I like to do here is be very gentle, and you just kind of like coax the noodles apart. Just shake them a little bit. Kind of a little temperamental, these udon noodles, but if you treat them right, they'll come up really well. Okay, see how quick that was? That was like less than 30 seconds. Now the noodles are ready, take them straight out and put them into your pan. Now the mistake that most people make is that they're boiling those noodles like they're pasta, right? Like these noodles are already cooked. They just needed a bit of hot water to kind of separate them a little bit. Any more and those noodles will break up and get really soggy. Okay, some final little bits here. I'm gonna turn the heat back on. And I do wanna add a little bit of sauce, because we've got some sauce in there from our marinade, but I want a little bit more. I've got some oyster sauce, just a little bit more soy, a little splash of the Chinese wine. That's totally optional, as I said, so don't worry if you don't have it. And now just toss everything together. Now because you've got that little bit of corn flour in the marinade, that's helping to like thicken up the sauce and make it cling to those noodles. So that's all working together very well here. I'll just taste that and see if I need any more oyster sauce. I think a little splash more. The oyster sauce is really what's giving you kind of like the salty umami intensity here. So you want to make sure it's just right for your palate. If you don't want a lot of sodium, or you don't like salty things, use a bit less. If you like things with a bit of punch like me, you can add a little more. Now the last thing to do here is to throw in our spring onion, and that's it. We are ready to eat dinner. All right, so this is all good to go pretty much. You just want a whole bunch of steaming noodles and pile that up. And like the cool thing is, as I said, like we only used one 300-gram piece of steak, and we have one big massive pan of noodles here, which is great. And you could bulk it out even more with like a little bit more veg if you want as well too. So you could cut the veg thicker as well. So there are all some options. But look at that, look at those noodles, yum. I don't know why I was whispering to the noodles, but I was. So good. All right, so if you are cooking along with me, then I hope that you have something that resembles this. I'm sure you do if you've been cooking along. And I hope that you're gonna have a very good time eating these noodles, just like I am about to have a really good time. Now you can see, like, you know, that is a lovely noodle. You know, we're not getting broken udon noodles here, and everything should be lovely and chewy and tender. Let's see. Well, the noodles should be chewy, the beef should be tender. There you go. It's perfect. Just that. The beef is disintegrating. It's so tender. The noodles are really chewy and lovely, and they've soaked up that sauce, which is really nice. So there you go. Like just a little bit of extra technique. So nothing that's like super hard or time consuming, but just a few little extra bits, and you've got a stir fry noodle dish that is so much better. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, hopefully you'll come back next week. Who knows what we'll be cooking? Hey, if you've got any requests, why don't you pop them into the comments below? That would be really fun. Thanks guys, see you next week.
Hey guys, if you want to know whenever I'm releasing something new and delicious, then you should hit that subscribe button and the little bell so that I can let you know every time something new is coming out. Thanks, see you!